Is your PPE supported by slave labor? Last question for the day. But first, let me induct you into the issue. Here we are. The New York Post reports that the world's largest glove maker, Top Glove, saw profits increase 417% this year due to COVID. Malaysia-based Top Glove posted after-tax profits of about 459 million in its last fiscal year, a massive 417% spike from the prior year. It's unbelievable. So much so that there was talk about imposing a windfall tax on Top Glove for their success, which I thought was very unsavory. It's like punishing people for their success. But I digress. So this is a situation, the background to what we're talking about. Reuters reports Malaysia to charge second glove maker over poor worker accommodation. So it's not happened just once, but twice. Here we are. The Labor Department, part of the Ministry of Human Resources, conducted a raid on one of the glove-making factories in Kajang district just outside Kuala Lumpur, the capital, last week, where they found workers living in cramped, dirty shipping containers stacked behind the premises. So they were living in rows of shipping containers stacked on top of each other, converted into accommodations. In the tropical weather of Kuala Lumpur, it is hot, it is humid, and the whole thing the structure is made of metal, so it's terrible, absolutely terrible. You'll see some photos. Let me show you. Okay, here we are. Global glove importers reconsider after raids reveal atrocious conditions. So, government raids, which took place a few days ago, revealed, atrocious worker conditions at leading key global glove importers to reconsider their relationship with a Malaysian glove manufacturer. Kimberly-Clark, which everybody knows, evaluating the matter. I presume that they would buy it from the Malaysian company Brightway Holdings, I believe, over here. Let's see, where's the name? Here we go, Brightway Holdings, as well as Top Glove. They probably source from them and then rebrand them as Kimberly-Clark. So if consumers, customers of Kimberly-Clark were to know that, oh my god, you're involved with what looks like terrible borderline slave conditions, they will certainly be cancelled. So they would not want to be involved with that. Last week, the Human Resources Minister M. Saravanan dismissed glove maker Brightway Holdings' denials after a raid of one of its subsidiaries in Kajang, uncovered hundreds of workers living in squalid conditions, which he described as among the worst he had ever seen. So this is, yes, quite atrocious. 781 workers living behind the factory in 2 blocks of shipping containers stacked 3 stories high. Absolutely unacceptable. Let's see. Oh, yeah, sorry. There's also Australian firm Ansell, which supplies the UK's National Health Service, also loudly saying that this is unacceptable and we will not accept it. So the onus is really on Brightway to shake things up, because they can lose huge customers, a huge amount of business if they don't fix the situation. Photos and videos are included in the media reports. Yes, you can see already what's happening at double-decker beds. You can see here that the beds are extremely uncomfortable. You have fans in a place where temperatures can go up to something like 32 degrees, 34 degrees Celsius. I'm sorry, I can't convert that to Fahrenheit for you. Kimberly-Clark expressed concern over the situation and is committed to ensuring that its employees around the world, including those of suppliers, were treated with respect and human rights standards met at all times. Here we are, photo of the raid taking place. I believe that's the Human Resource Minister himself with the enforcement officer alongside him. So a lot of stuff is going on with regards to labor standards in the Malaysian glove makers. The largest glove maker of all is Top Glove, the largest in the world and as well as largest in Malaysia. In July, two of Top Glove subsidiaries were placed on a restricted imports list for US by the Customs and Border Protection Agency due to alleged forced labor issues. Another Malaysian glove maker, WRP Asia Pacific, was given a similar withhold release order on export to the US in September 2019 after charges that its gloves were produced with forced labor, which was a ban which was lifted in March. So I'll tell you a little bit more about this because this is something on top of the terrible living conditions. Okay, let's see. Look here. Top Glove, the world's largest glove maker with a over 400% profit increase, is now the subject of 19 investigation papers by the Department of Labor, saying that it failed to comply with the workers' minimum standard of housing and amenities. And they did the operation to investigate in 5 states in Malaysia, so a lot of locations covered at once. Dense accommodation in hostels, poor ventilation. So, very, very problematic indeed. Here we are, this Top Glove facility. And I'm afraid, as your link to Malaysia, I have to tell you, dear viewer, that this is pretty common. Poor worker accommodations for foreign workers in Malaysia is unfortunately quite common. Enforcement has been pretty spotty in my experience. I've driven past, some accommodations that I think are pretty terrible. And I'm quite glad to see that this is being exposed and that we're seeing companies being put under spotlight for this matter. Minister says, so this is M. Saravanan, the Human Resources Minister. He says, let them say what they want to say. We have enough evidence to enforce the rule of law. Absolutely the right thing to do. It is normal for an employer to deny. This only forces to publish more pictures of the condition. Anyway, we had enough media during the visit. Which is true. During this visit, my understanding was that the media just went along, so everybody got to take all the photos and all the videos that they wanted. So I'm just showing a small selection, but it's very easy to find more. Okay, and this is not the first time that Malaysian companies have had a run-in with authorities, both local and international, on this issue. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency once issued a withhold release order on disposable rubber gloves made in Malaysia. So withhold release order is also a detention order, which means that the products cannot be released into the United States. They have to be kept at the port until the origin company complies with whatever regulation that was broken. So here we are. The company was WRP Asia Pacific. So this order states that you are now admissible at U.S. ports of entry. The detention order levied against the company in September 2019 was revoked after the company, showed evidence that they were no longer producing the rubber gloves under forced labor conditions. And this is not only applied to WRP, this was also the case with Top Glove, Malaysia's, biggest glove manufacturer. Here, in a blog post by Holland & Knight, law firm in the United States. Here we are. A withhold release order, or aka a detention order, was placed on gloves by Top Glove and TG Medical, subsidiaries of Top Glove itself. So this was imposed on July 15th this year, right in the middle of the pandemic. I say in the middle, but we're not at the end yet, so it might still be, subject to change. But yeah, I believe that eventually it was lifted after the issue was resolved. Now, let me explain a little bit about this issue. In both cases, both these companies, Top Glove as well as WRP from previously, they were accused of debt bondage. So there are recruiters employed by these companies like Top Glove to hire cheap foreign workers in countries like Bangladesh and India. In Malaysia, workers are actually a little bit more expensive. Malaysia is about a middle income country, so it's much cheaper to get workers from like Bangladesh and India, pay them money, bring them over to Malaysia and have them work in the factories. But as a result, it leaves the system a little bit, this chain is a little open and vulnerable to exploitation by the recruiters. So you have recruiters in Bangladesh, in India, to find able-bodied, suitably qualified workers to send over to Malaysia. And although companies like Top Glove pay these agents to do the recruitment work for them, the unscrupulous agents would also ask the workers to pay them for the privilege of going overseas to work in terrible conditions but earn a better salary than they would otherwise back home. So in the past, companies would just turn a blind eye to it. Like, why would they care? They just want the workers over in their factory and working, and they'll pay them, what is legally allowed, and give them appropriate housing, right? But now, thanks to agencies, and I have to give credit to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency, when they are aware of issues like this, or even today, when we are aware of any kind of problem, like with Qatar and the World Cup, the football FIFA World Cup that they were due to host, I think a lot of media exposed the terrible conditions that workers faced. And so this is exactly the kind of thing that we should be shining a spotlight on, and I think goes on way too much. So even though I know this is taking place in Malaysia, I think all Malaysians, myself included, would agree that we want to stamp this out, and it's a net positive that the international media shines a spotlight on it. It's reported, and that these goods are withheld by the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency until these issues are resolved. But if you're Malaysian, I also want to add on a little bit, more to your understanding. That is, these issues, we see them in Malaysia, but they're not unique to Malaysia. All right? So let me show you. Here, Apple, Nike, Coca-Cola, they lobby to preserve their supply, of cheap labor. Now, China has been accused of using the Uyghur ethnic minority to work in factories for like minimal pay and terrible conditions. And there was a bill passed just last month, November 30th, in the U.S. Congress, to stop that, to prevent American companies from using Uyghur forced labor. And of course, these big companies, they use their lobbyists to lobby against any kind of control, saying, it's better that we are responsible for monitoring these things in-house. It should not be something that the law gets involved in, and so on and so forth. But it is true that is being done, and it is the right thing that the law steps in and protects workers wherever they may be in the world. And it's not even just those companies, Tesla as well. And look at this, not even just in China, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, there are mines for cobalt. And my understanding is this is a key ingredient in the production of rechargeable batteries. So if you're using rechargeable batteries in your smartphone, this concerns you. If you have a Tesla, it concerns you. Because then right now, as I understand it, there aren't enough batteries, rechargeable batteries in the world. We are churning out ever increasing volume, quantities of devices with rechargeable batteries, but we still don't have enough. And now, even children are being forced to work in these cobalt mines and dying in these mines. So it is actually a disgrace for the world as a whole that we allow these kind of things to happen. But it is positive, a belated positive, that we are actually seeing it exposed and companies put under pressure to do something about it. Look here. Now, for China, Apple doesn't even deny that they do anything wrong. They accept that they have broken the law. And this report of Washington Post. Here we are. Apple spokeswoman Lori Lodes denied most of the allegations but acknowledged Apple did exceed the number of contract workers allowed by Chinese law, which caps the ratio at 10%. So we all know that there's seasonal demand for, Apple iPhones. I have one myself. I am complicit. But there's no good choice here. There's no good choice here. So Apple has broken the law, and they acknowledged it. Right? They don't even hide it. And this isn't just something that is limited to tech companies or Nike, because Nike, we know they've been, really terrible with sweatshops in the past. No, this extends to Nestle. Nestle makes food, and Cargill, which makes salt. So in the Ivory Coast, on cocoa farms, children are working on Ivory Coast cocoa farms. And they shouldn't be working on cocoa farms. They're children. In some, the allegations paint a picture of overseas slave labor that defendants perpetuated from headquarters in the United States. Absolutely. Absolutely. Written by judges of the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Pasadena, California. Said in a unanimous decision that the group could proceed with its claims despite the alleged abuses having occurred overseas. A lawsuit by a group of former child slaves. They took their suit to the United States to sue Cargill and Nestle. So, what have we learned here? I think that what we've learned here is that we live in a terribly imperfect world. And if you're Malaysian, this doesn't just apply to Malaysia. This happens everywhere. And this, the spotlight goes around, and now it lands on Malaysia and our Malaysian companies. And it is unique. It is a unique thing because this rarely happens. But now, our companies that supply a huge amount of the world's PPE, rubber gloves, and which the world relies on to keep safe, to keep, our frontline healthcare workers protected, is under the spotlight. And I think we should be supporting the efforts to keep this labor supply chain clean, that everybody is treated, fairly, equitably, that workers are protected. And I'm glad to see that the Human Resources Minister is on our side, is in agreement on this matter. So, yeah, that is what I wanted to share with the world, that we have issues that affect the whole world. Everybody who uses Malaysian rubber gloves should be made aware that we have labor issues that our government's working on. And if you're Malaysian, I want to remind you that this is a challenge, but don't lose heart, that this is an issue every company that does business internationally uses labor across borders, grapples with, and it's our time, and it's on us to put the appropriate pressure on the companies that live around us, are among us, to do the right thing. And if you like this video, if you think that this issue deserves more attention, please like the video, share it with your friends, your family, let them know. And let them know that, it's not just the biggest companies in the world that are involved with these labor issues. It is also smaller ones, making rubber gloves, making things that keep all of us safe. And that we should be aware, and we should be careful about our actions, our choices as consumers and what they do to the world. All right. That's all I'm going to say for today. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you again next time. Bye-bye.